It was just something to do.
Hello, world. Welcome to Our Only Thing, the show where we celebrate stories we love and talk about ways to make them even better. I'm Grace Estel, a teller of stories.
And I'm Pablo Gallaga, a devourer of stories.
Today, we're here to talk about one of the most iconic episodes from the Twilight Zone, Time Enough at Last.
I have actually never seen it before until, we started the research for this episode.
Seeing it for the first time in 2024, what do you think?
I mean, it's such an iconic story where I knew everything about it and I knew what the story beats were without having ever seen it. I think that's a testament to how good it is.
Let's begin by getting into our love letters. Dear Twilight Zone, you are so much more than a sci-fi and horror series that shattered the boundaries of mid-20th century television. You address controversial topics head-on, creating timeless tales that continue to inspire storytellers today. But your driving force consisted of a man who propelled science fiction into a serious genre that allowed us to explore the best and worst in ourselves. Rod Serling is remembered for being this man, but to me, he's so much more. In 2011, I enrolled in a creative writing program at Antioch University, a school that I clicked with instantly. Its motto was built upon a quote from its first president, Horace Mann, who stated, "Be ashamed to die until you've won some victory for humanity." During my first semester, my connection deepened when I learned that a famous writer also graduated from this school, a writer who I had admired my entire life. In 2018, I saw a documentary about Serling's later endeavors where he mentored aspiring writers at our alma mater and Ithaca College. Later that night, I did something shocking. I dusted off a book I had written 4 years before and began reworking it. 3 years later, I published it. This letter isn't to the Twilight Zone. It's to a man who has won an incredible amount of victories for humanity. Rod Serling didn't just impact the people he met. He inspired people like me who continue to celebrate his legacy decades after he departed this earth. Thank you, Mr. Serling. You are my hero. And one day, when I enter another dimension of sound, sight, and mind, I hope to tell you this face to face.
Dear The Twilight Zone, portrait of a man with a penchant for change, but not just any change, the singular pursuit of perfection. Even now, he sits at his computer, typing away, attempting to put word after word in an order that makes sense. But it's all wrong. It's all obscured by shadows and substance, by things and ideas of another dimension. He has entered into the opposite of perfection, the unknown. He has entered into the Twilight Zone. Sincerely, Pablo.
Well, there's no better way to write a love song to Rod Serling than to celebrate him in the style that he shared with all of us.
So, Grace, what's your thing?
Wait, why are you wearing a suit? How did you change so fast?
What are you talking about? I always wear a suit.
No, you don't. You never wear a suit. What the Did I just get censored?
You shouldn't curse, Grace.
What the
You just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
At around 15 minutes in this episode, that's the first time that Henry utters the words,
I'm not at all sure that I want to be alive.
Let's introduce that depression in Act 1, because he lives in a world where no one cares about him. Helen, his wife, doesn't care about him. Mr. Carsville, his boss, doesn't care about him. But yet, he is so optimistic. He just wants to read and share what he's reading with people.
Mrs. Chester, have you ever read David Copperfield?
He does not have a great life. No one in his life supports him or helps him. So the fact that Henry spends the episode being optimistic, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. If we have him in Act 1, he's already depressed. Maybe at work, when his boss approaches him, you see that he has this sense of dread because he knows he's in trouble. Maybe when his wife does that horrific thing to him where she sets him up.
Would you like to read me some?
Helen, don't do that for Helen. Please don't do that.
Maybe there is a gun in a gun cabinet and he looks at it We just see him look at it. So we already know, okay, this man is broken and he's already kind of thinking, maybe I don't want to be here. Right now, the way the episode exists, all he wants is time to read. But if he was depressed and all he wanted was to be left alone, and then he gets that in Act 2, you could still have him react the same way where he realizes, I really didn't want to be alone. I just want to be able to read. And now that I'm alone, this world is even than I thought. You could still have that, or you could even build it. So let's say that he starts off and he's kind of a depressed character just trying to survive his life. Then this thing that's serendipitous happens to him. And now he really is alone, and that's all he ever wanted. Have him celebrate that. Have him walk around in that 8 hours of a graveyard, excited. And then he discovers the library. And now he's really excited because he's like, look, my life can't get any better. There's no one around to nag me. There's no one around to make me feel worse about myself. And now I have everything I've ever wanted. I have an endless supply of books. Then you drop it. That to me is actually worse than what we experience now. So I think there's a lot of opportunity just to do some little tweaks. And it's even more devastating when that plot twist reveals itself.
You're setting up more of a contrast, right? Like you have him in this awful situation, and then you're giving him false hope in a more pronounced way, which the episode already does. But because of the contrast, you feel like, okay, things have turned around for him, although like it required the end of the world essentially for that to happen.
Yeah.
But now he's elated. He's going to get what he wants finally. And now you take it out from under him. It's the Twilight Zone. Like you're somewhere that makes no sense. And you're being shown like, you know, Black Mirror is an homage to Twilight Zone. And it's called Black Mirror because you're being shown yourself. Like you're being shown like, is this really what's inside of you? Is this really what you want? And ultimately, I mean, it kind of is, but then you realize that it's not what you want. And that's why it's so cruel and ironic and fun, and why it's one of the most iconic endings in horror.
Like you said, it's that ability to use sci-fi as a device for us to study the best and worst in ourselves, and for us to face that and say, how would we react in those situations? So Pablo, what's your thing?
I am changing the ending.
Oh my goodness.
And I mean, I just finished saying that it's an iconic ending, like, and that I knew it without having ever even seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there's opportunity to be a little bit more cruel and ironic, and also not minimize what nuclear winter actually is.
I think the one thing that is hard to get past through the eyes of being in 2024 is probably the fact that he just steps out of that vault and takes an 8-hour stroll in the wasteland that is now his world.
Yeah, that's something that kind of made me raise an eyebrow a bit, but you know, it was the times. As it stands right now, like this ending, it punishes Henry for like his single-mindedness. He's an intelligent person. He's well-read, but he's got that focus on how he really, really wants to read. And that's like his passion, and it's messing up his life.
You will henceforth devote your time to your job and forget reading. Do I make myself perfectly clear?
By removing his ability to see when he breaks his glasses at the end, and, you know, by extension, his ability to read, you're taking away his passion. What if instead he never finds another book again? He's searching the wasteland for months and months. Once he realizes, like, I have all the time in the world, like, let me just go find a bunch of books. And they've been completely destroyed. His passion has been eradicated in an instant. And it's also like the wealth of human knowledge and artistry also gone. And it's driving home the point of, this is what happens, you know, if you use nuclear weapons, you're losing more than life. There's nothing to rebuild. It's all gone. And you're doomed to spend the rest of your days in search of something that's unattainable.
I love this change because, Pablo, what you're suggesting is taking the story from an isolated incident of be careful what you wish for. That is the theme of the story. You're suggesting taking it from that single point of view to now let's talk about what nuclear technology can do to humankind. Now you're expanding it. It's so much larger now. And that in itself makes it so much more devastating. I also think, as I was listening to you talk, we could actually mesh our changes together, right?
I thought the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we could mesh them together where in my version, Henry Bemis is broken. He's not the optimist that just wants to read. He's completely broken. And then when the nuclear holocaust happens and he's in that wasteland, in your version, he's like, all right, I'm going to go search for books now. I got all this time.
The hope is dangled in front of him. Yeah, he suddenly has that glimmer of hope that my life has turned around.
Right.
And it's going to be all good. I got all the time and all the books. Wait a minute. Where are the books? I also have that this change to the ending doesn't necessarily mean that the glasses thing doesn't happen, because that's such an iconic thing.
It is.
Like the glasses themselves throughout the entire episode, because I knew, like I said, I hadn't seen it. I knew what was coming, and I'm looking at those glasses and their Coke bottles, and I'm like, that's a choice. They did that on purpose to draw attention to them because it's going to be such an important story beat later. But yeah, like he can still break his glasses in search of these books, not to the point of full blindness like it happens as it stands right now, but like so bad enough that it's going to make it that much harder for him to try and find books. And it starts to eat away at him and crack him, and he descends into madness from there. So, I mean, you still get to keep the spirit of the current ending.
That's not fair at all. There was time now.
You're just making it have larger implications and a more grand bit of irony.
When we tackle the theme of be careful what you wish for, it's usually done through the lens of something supernatural. You have a genie offering you wishes. You discover a time machine. You get to see how things might have been if you had done things differently. And I think what's beautiful about this episode is that it's none of that. It's literally technology that we created with this idea that we're going to protect ourselves, but we actually destroy ourselves.
You say nothing supernatural, but you also still get that element of fate. Like he's just destined to not get what he wants. And it's cruel. And that's delicious. I love it. Do you have any Twilight Zone trivia for us?
I do. This is one of 4 times where Rod Serling did a mid-episode narration.
I wish more shows these days did stuff like that. Like, it's just so cool, and it's like a nice sort of like level setting of what's happening and what, you know, like the drama of it. This particular narration is so good, though.
Seconds, minutes, hours.
They crawl by on hands and knees
For Mr. Henry Bemis.
who looks for a spark.
In the ashes of a dead world.
Come on.
It's so good. That's one sentence.
That was one sentence. He did say more than that, because later he ends with
Mr. Henry Bemis on an 8-hour tour of a graveyard.
The man was a writer.
a poet. My second one is that out of the 92 episodes that Rod Serling wrote, this one was his favorite.
I wonder if it had to do with it being based on that short story by Lynn Venable. And I mean, I'm not much of a screenwriter myself, but like adapting a work that you love maybe makes it feel more personal because you chose something and you want it to achieve, you know, greatness close to what the original was. And maybe he felt like, you know, very proud of how closely he got to that short story. Grace, that was a really fun episode. What's up?
You're never going to believe this, but I had this dream that you were wearing a suit.
I mean, it's not unusual for me to wear a suit.
I know, but if I had known that talking about the Twilight Zone was going to make me hallucinate, I might have actually like suggested something else.
Twilight Zone?
Yeah.
Grace, we've been talking about baby reindeer for the last 2 hours.
What the fuck?